Today, I thought we would do something kind of interesting. And what we want to do is I want to design a deck through AI to see how accurate or what comes out. I'm going to give it a set of parameters, and then we're going to see how it looks and how close it is to my vision from my description to the AI. Now, I understand we can get super descriptive. I thought I'd kind of keep it simple with throwing it a couple curveballs, just because I don't know how well this artificial intelligence can build a deck. But for giggles, I thought, you know what, let's try and see what happens. So here's my set of parameters. I want this deck to be 12 foot by 20 foot, rectangular. I want it 4 feet high off the ground. I want it to frame the deck 12 inches on center. I want it to use one beam away from the house. So I'm not sure how it's gonna construct the deck, but I would like it to only have one beam, which means it has to calculate and figure out the size of the joists and how far to span those joists and how much of a cantilever it's gonna need, because it'll be like a drop beam. So one beam. I wanted to install some black aluminum picket railing. I wanted to install or use AZEK decking. We'll probably tell it to use pressure treated framing. I wanted to put AZEK surface borders on the deck too, and AZEK fascia. I would also like it to add some skirting below. And I think for fun, we'll tell it we want 2 4-foot staircases installed on the deck. I'm not sure where. I don't know how that's gonna deduct that, or if it's gonna ask us, or if it's just gonna throw 2 4-foot staircases, maybe one on each side of the deck or something like that. But that'll be interesting to see as well. So let's plug all that in and see what comes out. All right, guys, so we asked the AI, and we used ChatGPT for this particular AI experience. I don't know a whole lot about it. My son Calvin does though, and he's the editor of this YouTube channel, so I'm a little out of the loop on this. If you're over 50 and you don't use AI, then you're like a dinosaur, so. Looking for wood that's built to last and designed to impress? Meet Maximo Wood. They're creators of premium, authentic thermal wood that blend beauty, strength, and sustainability. Through a natural heat and steam process, no chemicals ever. Maximo's wood becomes resistant to rot, decay. It's perfect for decks, fences, soffits, and ceilings, privacy walls, all kinds of different exterior locations. It's lightweight, sustainable, and comes with a 20-year warranty. Architects trust it, builders rely on it, and homeowners love it. Go beyond ordinary lumber and visit MaximoWood.com and bring timeless performance to your next project. And now let's get back to the video. All right, so the AI came back and asked us 7 additional questions on top of what we gave it for our parameters for our deck. They wanted to know which city or county in Washington is the deck being built in, and we told it Tacoma, Washington. And then it wanted to know footing preferences. Do you want poured concrete footings or precast deck blocks? And I told it I wanted helical piles to throw a little spin on there, right? Beam materials. Should the beam and framing be pressure treated wood, engineered lumber, or something else? So we told it pressure treated. We didn't want to get too complicated with aluminum. Decking color and finish. Do you have a preference for the AZEK color collection? So we told it we wanted vintage collection, and we wanted it in dark hickory. That's my favorite. Railing system. Should the aluminum picket railing be surface mounted or fascia mounted? We told it surface mounted. The skirting style, would you prefer horizontal vertical slats or solid AZEK paneling? We wanted vertical slats. And stair landing, will the staircases terminate on concrete pads, gravel base, or a continuation of decking? And we told it that we wanted it to land on concrete. Okay, so we gave it those answers, and then it gave us a description of all this stuff, like pages and pages and pages. So I'm gonna kind of skip through this. I'm gonna read it real quick, skip through it, and then give you a little synopsis on each topic, okay? Okay, so this entails building a 12 by 20 foot outdoor deck elevated, 4 foot above grade, attached to a house in Tacoma, Washington. Okay, so basically right now it's just describing what we just talked about. Okay, here's a figure. Typical anatomy of a deck structure, key components labeled, footing, post, ledger, beam. This looks like it just took a photo off the internet with some how-tos, like labeling different parts of the deck, which looks fairly accurate. It'll incorporate all these elements, and it's telling us the beam, the post bases, joists, stair stringers, stair header, ledger flashing, house band, joist connection, a decking, concrete landing, joist hangers, stair tread. So there's quite a bit of information here. Complete material and hardware list. Helical piles, 3. Galvanized helical pile footings, engineered steel screw piles with caps, brackets size for 6x6 posts if allowed by the city. Alternatively, you could do footings 18 by 18 inches square, 12 inches thick pad. Yeah, that sounds about right for my region because it's Tacoma, lowland soil. So that's not bad. It's not really giving you a visual, but it is giving you an instructional verbiage. Post to be 6x6, 4 feet tall, extra length for attachment and trimming. 3 of those. It's giving you quantities too, which I didn't ask for. Did we? Okay, Calvin did. Calvin asked for some quantities. So the beam, 3-ply built-up beam using 2x12 pressure-treated lumber spanning the 20-foot length of the deck. Quantity 6 pieces. So I don't agree with that. Where I live in Tacoma, we don't do 3-ply beams. We use solid sawn lumber, which I'm sure we could edit that into AI, right? And probably tell it, no, we want to use a solid 4x12, 6x12, whatever. You're going to have to do a center post anyways. You're not going to get a 20-foot span out of treated lumber. And it has 3 posts in here. So approximately a 10-foot span between posts. Technically, you could come in a couple feet and get an 8-foot span. Code prescriptive limits for supporting 12 joists on 60 pounds per square foot deck loads. So got the pounds per square foot right for Washington State, which is 60 pounds per square foot instead of a 40 pound per square foot live load. So it did get that right. Which is good. Alternately, the 2x12 beam, so it's using a pretty hefty beam. You could probably get away with a 6x10 beam instead of a 6x12. But again, that might require some engineering, local structural engineering. This is more of a generic thing. I think the AI is being a little safe on its spans, which I would say I think I would be, if I was an artificial intelligence computer, I would probably be safe on my spans as well. Joists. Ledger board, 2x10, 20 feet long, good. Joist, 2x10, 12 feet from ledger to beam. So it's assuming we're doing a 12-foot span. So if you were doing a 10-foot span, you could get away. And again, I think this is just something we'd have to tweak on the AI. So it's giving us a 12-foot projection, which we would bring the beam back and do a lower beam, so it's underneath the joist, and then it would only be a 10-foot span, we'll say. Blocking and bridging, 2x10 blocking pieces for mid-span blocking, okay? Or 2x6 blocking at ledger between joists at blocking for railing post anchoring. No, I would use solid sawn lumber for blocking support, not 2x. Skirt and trim framing, 2x4, 2x6 treated lumber to build a perimeter frame. And nailers for attaching vertical skirting. That's good. I would just use 2x4s. Fasteners, connectors, structural hardware. Hot dip galvanizer stainless steel. Required for ACQ pressure treated lumber. That's good. Ledger fasteners, 1/2-inch diameter lag screws or through bolts. I would use ledger locks from Fasten Master, but again, we could prescribe that to the AI. Oh, here we go. Alternatively, approved structural ledger screws. Simpson SDS or Fasten Master ledger lock is right there. Boom, right there in the AI, right for you, alternate. So I would take the alternate on that. Ledger flashing, very important, often overlooked, but the AI didn't overlook it. So I'll give them AI a point for that, for ledger flashing. It's one of the most common if you don't use flashing, it's overlooked very often. It can ruin your house. Put the $50 worth of flashing in and save thousands later in life. Joist hangers, yep. Post bases, I see a lot of Simpson hardware in here. Post to beam connectors. We just did a video talking about deck safety. Check out that video and see some of the stuff that's in this is in that video. And here's another one, guys, that we didn't even talk about in that video. Lateral load connectors. 2-deck lateral load connection ties are mandated by IRC, which is the International Residential Code for decks attached to ledgers. 1,500 pound hold down each. These are typically installed one device near each end of the ledger. It has to be within 2 feet, according to what I know. An example, Simpson DTT1Z or a USP DTB, which is a different competitor to Simpson. Hurricane clips. If joist sit on top of a drop beam, use hurricane ties, Simpson H2.5s, to secure each joist to the beam. Structural screws, deck screws, decking and trim, AZEK Vintage PVC and dark hickory. Okay, deck boards, vintage collection, perimeter fixture frame boards, dark hickory, good. Fascia boards, skirting boards. AZEK deck board for AZEK cellular PVC trim boards. It's all good. Hidden fasteners. If using groove decking, a hidden fastener system like TimberTech Conceal Lock, Clips, or Tiger Claw, so they're respectfully using Fasten Master products, which I'm down with, but the Cortex hidden fasteners, now that's my jam. Boy, AI, we're speaking English here. Stair material stringers, 2x12 pressure treated lumber. I mean, that's normal, average. And we didn't give it any parameters as far as what type of treads to use. I think from now on, we're gonna be using probably OC lumber or some kind of a composite structural 2x12 for our stair stringers. Stair treads, AZEK deck boards, 11-inch tread depth. Let's see if it gives us an on-center. 12 boards, 4 feet, blah, blah, blah. 6 additional 16 boards, blah, blah, blah. Does not give us the on-center for the stair framing. That was something we'd have to ask. Landings, stair framing connections, handrails, guardrail system, surface mount, black, high quality aluminum railing. Okay, railing post, 2.5 by 2.5 aluminum post, surface mounted. Top and bottom rails, looks good. Miscellaneous, drip edge. Tape, self-adhesive flashing tape for the tops of joists. Good. Paint, sealer, end cut preservative for any cuts of pressure treated lumber. Smart. Official TimberTech dealers, step-by-step construction guide. There's a lot of how to build the deck. Wow, man. I don't want this video to get to be 30 minutes, so I'm just gonna kind of go over there's like a list, and I'm gonna go through the list and just say if I agree or disagree. Permitting and site prep. Yeah, you gotta have, usually you gotta have a permit over 4 feet, over 30 inches, you gotta have a permit. Footing installation, helical piles of concrete, how to do it. Ledger board attachment, very important. Post and beam construction. Once footings are ready and ledger is up, set the post and build the beam. I mean, it's kind of telling us how to do that. Cut the height, beam assembly. Okay, it's still telling you how to build a 3-ply beam. That's not what we do where we live. We use a solid sawn beam. So that's a simple change in the AI though. Set beam in place. How do you do that? Okay, let's read that. Lift the beam onto the post. 2 to 3 people due to length and weight. Set each section onto the notch post top or onto the post cap bracket. Center the beam so there's a small overhang past and post for aesthetic 6 inches so per design. Attach the beam to post using metal post cap connectors, nail or screw through the bracket. Doesn't tell you how to square the beam to the house or anything. Recheck that the beam is level and that all post, but it doesn't say about being square. Tip at this point, double check overall deck level. Run a string, a laser, from ledger to beam, make sure the beam is level with the ledger. Still not talking about squaring the deck up, which is a very important step, like AI completely missed. You can do a couple different ways. We're not gonna get into that, but I would say definitely ask the ChatGPT to how to square the deck up when you're framing it, how to square the beam up to the house, layout and joist spacing, attaching joist hangers. Okay, we wait to attach our joist hangers until the joists are temporarily installed on the side of the house. The AI isn't gonna know that. That's like a tip and trick. Cut joist to length. No, you don't do that either. You let them hang wild and you cut them in later. Install the joists, attach the rim joists. You're gonna wait till you know where to cut the rim joists. I guess if you're doing a quickie, dirty deck and you don't care about the last board not being the same width as the rest of the boards on the deck, you could do that, or you would start laying the decking from the outside of the deck in. Let's see what it says. Recheck level and square. Oh, level and square. Okay, here we go. Recheck level and square. At this stage, the frame should be very rigid. Check that the joists are level across the span by doing a Stabila challenge. No, just kidding. Planer shim if necessary. Shouldn't be needed if lumber is of good quality. Yeah, it will. Check the deck squareness by measuring diagonal of the frame. Adjust via bracing if slightly off. This is easier before decking goes on. No kidding. It's actually easier before you fully frame the deck or put the outside rim joist on as well. Let's do the joist connection. The tension ties, those can usually be done later, but you can do them now. Knee braces, hate them. Staircase construction, how to do that. Okay, great. Landing pads, attached landing, stretch and risers. Stair handrail posts. Okay, it's telling you how to install your railing stuff or prepare for it. Okay, here, installing your decking boards. With framing and stairs in place, proceed to lay the decking surface on the main deck. Typically, the deck boards perpendicular to the joists. Lot to read here, guys. One approach, install border boards around the perimeter first. No, do the field first and then cut them in. Common blocking for surface border. Install field decking. start at the house or at the outer edge, depending on aesthetics. Many start at the house with a full board, so any ripping happens at the outer edge under a nosing border, but that looks like poo. So if you've already framed your entire deck and you have your outside rim joist on, start your decking at the outside of the deck. It always looks better to have a rip board at the house versus having it on the outside of the deck, I promise you. Fascia, skirting, railing installation, stairs, stair handrail. It explains about safety and what's to code, all that. Gate installation if applicable. Final details and inspection. That's good to have like a little checklist of things that you need to look into. Code requirements. Tacoma, Washington. Okay, permit. A building permit must be obtained for any deck over 30 inches above grade. Tacoma will require plan submission and inspection of footing, framing, and final stages. Always build to approved plans and call for inspections accordingly. I agree with that. That's usually the rule of thumb I go with. Design loads. Washington State amended the code. Yes, they did, because a bunch of lawmakers thought, hey, if we just make it more difficult to build the deck, that it'll save a lot of lives because they won't collapse. Well, the reason decks collapse is because they're not being built to code in the first place. Some weekend warriors came in and thought, that's not going nowhere. And then, unfortunately, it just did. So this deck is engineered for a 60 pound per square foot live load, plus a 10 foot per square foot dead load. Frost depth for footings, ledger connection and flashing. So there's a lot of code requirement stuff in here. There we go. Estimated cost breakdown, foundations and footings, approximately $300 to $500. Helical pile by a contractor might cost around $300 to $500 per pile. So it could be $900 to $1,500 for the piles. This will include labor by the installer. Pressure treated framing, $800 to $1,000. That includes the joist, beam, posts, and blocking. Hardware and fasteners, $300 to $500. Decking and trim materials, $10 to $15 per square foot. I'm gonna say it's gonna be $15 to $25 a square foot, depending on all that, plus your skirting. For a 300 square foot waist, stair skirting, expect another $3,000 to $4,500 in decking. Yeah, I'd say on the higher side, might be $4 to $5 a lineal foot. They're much more than that. Dark hickory boards are $7 a lineal foot. So AI's low on the pricing here. 20-foot boards are, it says $80 to $100. They're more than that. They're $150 a piece for a 20-footer. Fascia boards are gonna be over $90 each. Labor, they said $1,200. That's way, way too low. Skirting should be another $300 to $500 in labor. Half day work, but it's probably gonna be more than that, including framing. Aluminum railing, budget $1,500 to $2,500. Okay, so costs on aluminum railing is $50 to $70 a lineal foot. 5 to 6 sections, blah, 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 blah. And then the installation, labor is like $800. At $75 an hour for 2 people, that's not enough. That's kind of low. Maybe $75 an hour per employee. I don't know on that one. Concrete landings, I was assuming we were landing on concrete. So summary of cost, total materials about 6 to 8K, total labor 5 to 8K. So all in contractor costs could be $12,000 to $19,000. And then the breakdown is $7,000 in materials and $7,000 in labor is a range. So if you're out of pocket, $7 to $8 in materials, you can have another $7 to $8 in labor. So if that's, how big was that deck? 12 by 20, 240 square feet. So let's see here. Let's do a quick calculation. I'm gonna go on the high side. So clear. So if we're 19,000 divided by 240, that's $80 a square foot. Yeah, that's pretty cheap. So have your computer build this deck because I can't do it for that price. It says, can you do your best to generate a blueprint of this design? Label all the parts and provide measurements. And it gave us a blueprint of a shelf, so, like a cabinet. Okay, I mean, it's kind of. And then it says, no, I meant of the deck, not a shelf. And then it actually showed us a AI of the deck. Support pads, AZEK fascia, helical pile, AZEK skirting. The skirting, they're pointing at a footing. AZEK fascia is right. 12 CI on center. Concrete. I don't know what CI means. There's a lot of footings on this little tiny deck though. Surface mounted railing, AZEK decking, 24 inches. Now it's showing it 24 inches from the top of the railing. If the railing's 36, that ain't gonna be the case. So it's got to be 24 inches from the ground. So it's got a few things wrong, labeled wrong on this blueprint. The decking is showing AZEK decking for railing. That's not the case, it's aluminum railing. Surface mounted railing, that's true. AZEK surface border, right in the middle of the deck board. It's showing the stair fascia as surface pads. I'm not sure what that means. AZEK skirting is the footing. I think you'd have somebody else do your blueprints, probably. These are really bad. Here are some of the most reputable deck builders in Tacoma based on online reviews, Reddit recommendations, and local pound-for-pound reputation. Each is highly rated and experienced in construction custom decks. Deck Restore, never heard of them. drdecks, Tacoma, Washington. Northwest Decks, they're not even in Tacoma. drdecks is frequently praised for high-end TimberTech AZEK projects, 3D renderings, and elite-level precision, self-described as world leader in deck design of PVC structures. I'm not self-described as that. Okay, oh, okay. drdecks specializes in PVC AZEK and offers custom 3D design and high-end finishes. All right, we're in there. Studio Man asked me a couple questions that I should answer, so give it a grade. I will give, of the descriptive only part of this deck, how to build a deck, I would give this a solid, maybe B+. There's a lot of good information. There's some misinformation in there as well. But if you do enough research after reading the AI on it, there's a lot of good information. So I'd say you'd have a solid B to maybe even a B+ on your deck. As far as the blueprints, I'd probably give it a D to an F, unless we kept, and don't take it the wrong way, guys. If you're into AI and that's your career, and you're saying, oh, well, all you have to do is this, and this. Well, okay, we don't do AI for a living, and we're the average consumer. We're acting like the average consumer, maybe above and beyond the average consumer, because we know so much about building decks anyways. So we're just trying to kind of give you something for the general public, okay? Do I think I could build a deck? I could probably build a C-grade deck off the verbal information that I received from AI. It might be a little bit nicer. You're using some premium materials though, so you really don't want to mess those up because those are really nice products to be used. So just something to think about when you're building your deck. Maybe spend a little more time and do all the good research before you go in and tackle that baby. If you've ever done construction before, it'll probably be a lot easier for you to build. Or if you're really good at generating artificial intelligence, that might help you as well. So I bid you best of luck building your deck by using artificial intelligence. I think it's a solid contender and eventually will get you there. Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you liked it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon. Buy a t-shirt below. Don't forget to do that. And don't forget to check out our new podcast. Link is in the description. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.